day is a special day for me because my guest today is a very good friend of mine that works with me with the Laughter for All when we do the Laughter for All large outreaches, and very, very funny and talented. This man has so much. I'm going to introduce him, but before I do, let's watch some of his comedy.
There's a fatter one in me. Right now, I'm losing the battle. My doctor says I'm an anomaly to him, says that most people retain water. It appears I'm retaining meat. And I understand it. My mother's from Louisiana, so I grew up with meat at every meal. Anybody else like that? My mother give you a whole ham for a snack. She said, baby, dinner won't be ready for about an hour. Take this ham. I'm 4 years old, dragging a 40-pound ham around the house. So now I'm trying to get back down to my fighting weight, trying to get back to that place where I'm happy. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about, that loose place. But I don't want to lose too much weight, though. I don't want to be like that guy at your job. You know the guy that lost like 100 pounds, and every day he comes to work bragging about it. You know I lost over half my body weight. I lost over 100 pounds. But he still has that big jack-in-the-box head. Hey, dude, you lost too much. You're gonna have a hard time finding hats. I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to lose my love handles either. Because they've been with me for so long, like an old friend through thick and thicker. You know you can squeeze love out of your love handles? You ever get cut off out there on the highway? It makes you want to bless somebody out? Jesus loves you. And your fancy lane change. You can't do that when you're skinny. You got nothing to squeeze onto. You got to stick your finger in your belly button. And you spend the rest of the day trying not to smell it. That smells like hamburgers. My doctor told me I need to get on a diet. I can't do it. I'm like 1 day on, 2, 3, 4 days off. If at first you don't succeed, have another fried candy bar, hope for the best. That's my logic. There's too many diets out there, that's my problem. I don't know which diet is gonna be the best diet for me. You got the Zone, the Atkins, the Scarsdale, Hollywood 24-hour diet. That's supposed to be a great one. Comes with a plastic surgeon. Right now, I'm on the Clydesdale diet. Mostly consists of hay. Hey, give me some of this. Hey, how about some of that? Hey, don't take that away yet. I wasn't done yet. They say in order for you to maximize the potential of your diet, you got to work out. I started working out at a new gym. You might have heard of it, Curves. Well, that's a good gym. First day, they give you a personal trainer. She stood me in front of a full-length mirror. She says, Mark, we're going to identify your trouble spots. I see it every day. It's all trouble. I said, if you really want to identify my trouble spots, shouldn't we be looking at my refrigerator? That's where the trouble starts. Thanks for watching my clip. You can watch my entire special for 99 cents. Click here.
All right, that was the comedian Mark Christopher Lawrence, but Mark is also an actor, an event host, an auctioneer, inspiration speaker. He co-starred in popular films such as Terminator 2, Judgment Day, Tales from the Hood, Planet of the Apes, Lost Treasure, and The Pursuit of Happyness. Lawrence is best known for his role as Big Mike on the NBC series Chuck. He has made guest appearances on many television programs, most notably Heroes, My Name Is Earl, Crossing Jordan, Dharma and Greg, Malcolm in the Middle, Touched by an Angel, Malcolm and Eddie, Men Behaving Badly, Seinfeld, Murphy Brown, Good Luck Charlie, and Martin. He's also featured on the radio series Adventure in Odyssey as Ed Washington. Welcome to the Laughter for All podcast, Mark.
Why, thank you, Nazareth. Thank you for having me. I'm so glad to be here in the studio with you.
I never heard you talk. This is normal. Normally you do the stage.
This is my radio voice.
This is so good to have you here.
Thanks for having me, brother. I appreciate
Oh,
it.
you're welcome. I love working with you. I'll tell you why. Because you're always on time. You're always there. You always let me know you're gonna be there, and it's just so smooth. And you always get the audience laughing so hard, and it's consistent. Some comics don't know that. They don't know that it's show business. You gotta do just the show part. You
Exactly.
can be great, but the business part is very important.
It's important. It's like when I produce shows, it's like getting comics to send you their stuff. Send me a headshot. Send me a resume or bio. And I got to keep after them to get it. It's like I'm trying to put people in the seats so you have an audience to perform for.
That's right. And it's funny, your whole bit about losing weight and all. See, people don't understand this, that you can be 100 pounds and still have a weight problem.
Oh yeah.
And I've always struggled with a 10-pound that I needed to lose, and I can't lose them. And I tried, I went to my doctor and he goes, you need to be gluten free. Gluten. I thought that was like Hitler's Secretary of State, gluten. I didn't know what it was gluten free. So I went to the mother store and I asked for. I said I need the gluten free food, and I want it to be sugar free, and I want it to be fat free. So you think it's free? It's not. It costs a lot of money.
No, it costs. See, when I was a kid, I ate a lot of paste.
Paste.
Yeah. Like in elementary school, they give you like a thing of Elmer's paste, and they give you a tongue depressor. So naturally. So I attribute my heftiness to all that paste I ate as a kid. Everything that I eat just sticks to it. It just hangs. It just hangs in there. It's not my fault.
Elmer's paste. That's a new diet.
Tasty.
But it's funny, like whenever you're in any kind of diet, people get upset at you when they're cooking. Like I went to this relative and she said, I made you some pasta. I said, you know what? I'm gluten free. And she got offended. She said, you know what? I spent the whole day making this for you. What do you mean gluten free? What are you gonna backslide? You gonna what? Get a relapse? What is gluten free? What are you gonna? I said, you know what? I just it's not good for me. She goes, you know what? You better eat it. I work hard. I sacrificed my day for you to eat this. I was like, okay, so fine. I ate it, but and then later on, well, the next day I was at church and Sunday, and they bring the communion. And I go, is this gluten free? And I go, no, never mind. And I heard the Lord say, hey man, I sacrificed for you. I died for you. So what do you call it? So you have been shooting movies. Last week I was talking to you. I called you to book you for something, and you were shooting a movie in Sleeper
Angeles.
Agent, right?
Well, no, that was Sleeper Agent was last month. And then last week I was shooting a movie in Los Angeles, a Christmas movie. I can't. It's called Three Families, but I can't say where it's going to be yet.
Oh, okay, no problem. But how often do you film movies, or do you shoot movies?
It's you're always seeking it. But it comes and goes. It's like right now it just happened to be busy. It's like I have did those two movies, and then I did on Sunday I did a cameo in another one, and then next month I'm going to Nashville to do a movie with our friend Shonda.
Shonda, oh, she's amazing. I would love to have her on the show. But okay, so you worked with so many celebrities. You worked with, let's see, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh yeah,
Terminator. How was he? Was he?
He was very funny. Arnold was very funny. In fact, when we were shooting Terminator 2, he had a tractor trailer with a gym in it, and he was training a guy for the Mr. Olympia contest. And his guy got destroyed by Lee Haney. and you've never seen that guy again. Apparently he's somewhere in Austria living in a cave.
Now, also, you did the Pursuit of Happyness with Will Smith.
Oh yeah, Will Smith, just a great guy. It's like from day one he make you feel like you're welcome and you're part of the family. And it's like I remember walking into the makeup trailer, and normally stars get their makeup and hair done in their own trailer because they have this big trailer, and he's in the regular makeup trailer. And I walk in, he gets up out of his makeup chair, comes over, gives me a hug, welcomes me to set, and we had some really great moments on screen.
You worked also with the guy, some of my fans or listeners will remember, Burt Reynolds.
Oh, yeah, Burt Reynolds was a huge star for many, many years, huge. And he had a show called, this is late 80s, early 90s, he had a show called Evening Shade. and it's a sitcom. And so, sitcom, you go in, you do a table read, then the next day you come back with the new script, and you rehearse, and then the suits come in and watch you do a run through, and then they change the script some more, and the next day you come back. So the day of the actual shoot, Bert wants to do a speed through the script in his dressing room. So I'm the first one there, and he opens the door, and he's got on his socks and clothes.
Oh, okay.
And I walk in, and he's shorter than me. And I'm like, how is Burt Reynolds, who was 6'2" during the rehearsals, shorter than me? And then I see his shoes over there, and he had those shoes that have the back part of it is really high, so he's got lifts.
Oh,
So,
okay.
So he was coming in 6'2", but he's probably more like 5'9". and he had a hair guy who was there all the time. And I remember being on set, and I'm standing behind him, and I look, and there's like an inch and a half space in the back of his head from the bottom of his hairline to where his wig hit. And I'm looking at his hair guy like, you don't see that.
You got to do something.
The urge to tug that wig down a little bit was so strong. I was just like looking at his hair guy going, do something. His wig is, and that was hilarious. I mean, yeah, I think I was in my, probably in my late 20s, early 30s at the time, and that was hilarious to me.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Now, one thing that people know about you, of course, the big Mike from Chuck.
Oh yeah,
And that was very big. And I know a lot of people, whenever I said, "Oh, Mark Christopher," they go, "Oh, from Chuck."
Mm-hmm.
That was big for you. How long did that run?
we did 5 seasons.
5 seasons.
Yeah.
And then what do you do? Like sometimes you get a high of like a great TV show or a great movie, and then for a couple 3 years or something, how do you personally, as a believer or as an actor, how do you deal with that? Because I know how to deal with it as a comedian. It's one of the hardest things.
It's very difficult. So you come off this big high. See, this is a business of high highs and low lows. So I'm on Chuck for 5 seasons, and then all of a sudden it's really slow.
Right.
And then it's like, how do you transition out of that? How do you not get depressed about it? And to tell you the truth, I get a little depressed. And I think for me, what happens is I get to a point where, or what happened after that was I got to a point where, okay, I have to trust that God is going to do something in my life and in my career.
Mm.
And so for several years, it's like, I just felt like I was just barely making it. Every month, it's like I'm just trying to eke out an existence. And I think in retrospect that God was trying to teach me that He's got it. He's got my back. Just trust that it's gonna be okay. And now all of a sudden I'm busy.
Yes, and that's I was sharing with you earlier. Like, I've been doing comedy 30 years, and you think at 30 years you don't have to worry about anything.
Right.
Shows. No, it's not. We used to think that way. Like, oh, you're big. I've done shows with 40,000 people, and then you get asked to do shows for like 20 people, and you go, and then God teaches you humility, but at the same time, again, like I was coming into August, and I was telling my wife, and I said, you know what? I have no shows in August. I said, this never happened before that I don't have shows for a whole month. What's going on? And then, as of yesterday, I've done 6 shows in August, and this is what happened. I called a friend of mine who used to open for me, a magician. He's a pastor now. I said, hey, you know what? Do you want me to come and speak at your church? I know you're a pastor now. And he goes, oh yeah, anytime you want. I go, in 2 weeks? He goes, sure. He goes, can we do it as a ticketed event? I go, in 2 weeks? Can we sell tickets in 2 weeks? And you know what? We sold it out in 1 week.
Yeah.
I go yesterday. They gave me all the money, the money from the tickets. I spoke the next morning. I did 2 services. 400 people decided to follow our Change California, which is, they commit to share Jesus with 7 people in 12 months. And now
I think I was with you the night that you started doing that.
Yes, when we started, you were with the first Laughter for All.
Yeah.
And that's a 7-year thing we do. But you know what? I look back, and then last month I did a show, and the pastor gave me the check, and then it was $4,000 more. I go, what is that for? He goes, oh, we want to bless you. not knowing that 4,000. I was that morning talking to my wife on the phone. I was in Colorado. I go, honey, with all the money they're gonna pay me, we're still short 4,000 to pay for John's last semester.
Mm-hmm.
God is so good, but it doesn't get easy. And I want to tell that to the listeners. You know, if you're listening, you could be a salesperson, you could be an actor, You know what? Everyone goes through low lows and high highs.
Yeah.
Now, you were born in Compton.
I grew up in Compton.
You grew up. Where were you born?
In Los Angeles, John Wesley Hospital in Los Angeles.
John Wesley Hospital.
I don't think it's there anymore.
But you grew up in Compton.
I grew up in Compton. Yeah.
You know, can I say this with no sounding politically incorrect? Why aren't you a gangster? Why aren't you?
Well, I am a gangster of my. And my mother was my gang leader. There was no gangsters in our house. My mother was the only gangster. It's like you come home, you have your pants pulled down. She'd slap them up to your neck. That's how good she was. Yeah. There was no that was not an option in our home.
It wasn't an option.
No.
Because that's right. Strong mothers really keep their kids from doing that. Now, what made you? I mean, being born in Compton. I'm sorry, I'm playing the stereotype. You became an actor.
Well,
Tell me the story. How did that happen?
Let's go back to the very beginning of Compton. When we moved to Compton in 1969, we were the second black family on our street.
Oh, it was a white neighborhood.
So Compton was a completely white neighborhood. Compton was rural. It was dairy farms, strawberry fields, orange groves, citrus groves. And so my mom grew up in Folsom, Louisiana, which is in the woods, the highlands of Louisiana, if you will.
Oh, they have highlands in Louisiana?
Yeah, like when you bury somebody, you still got to dig the hole the night before and wait till the next morning to see if there's water in there. If it is, they put the dirt back in and bury them on the top of the ground. That's the highlands. So my mother was used to living in a rural area, right? Mm-hmm. So she moved to Compton, bought this house in Compton because it was kind of a rural area. By 1974, all the white families had moved out. There was an event that happened in Los Angeles area called White Flight, and all the white folks had moved to like Simi Valley.
Oh, I did not know that.
And then the Robinsons moved into our neighborhood, and that's the first time I'd ever heard of the gangs. There's 7 boys, 3 girls. Everybody was a gangster, even the dog. So my mom, every time I tried to do something like I didn't want to go to the high school that I had to go to. Excuse me. She bought the house where she bought it because there was a high school 2 blocks away. We got rezoned that first year we were there. So now the boundary lines in Linwood ran through our backyard. We were no longer in Linwood. So when she bought the house, it was Linwood.
Now it's Compton.
So my brother, who was in high school, had to get bused to Dominguez. I got a cough.
No, go ahead. It's live show. You can cough. It's okay.
Excuse.
No problem. No problem whatsoever. There's some water provided by Laughter for All podcast.
If I die right here at the podcast.
Oh, that would be great. I'll get so many reviews.
Man,
oh,
you get so many followers. He kills people right there.
No. You kill people on stage, from the stage. We have a story.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah. He actually killed someone on stage. I mean, with laughter, the guy. We'll talk about it in a minute.
Okay. So I wanted to go to Southgate High School because they had a great football team. And my mom didn't want to jump through the hoops to get an address to get me to be able to go to that school. So she said, no, you're going to have to go to Dominguez. I go to Dominguez, met an English teacher there. And the funny thing about this is that, when you're going from junior high to high school, you take an English proficiency exam. Mm-hmm. So I ended up in the highest English class at our school. So all the athletes would pass by and see me in there and go, hey, what are you doing in there? I said, apparently I can read. I don't know. And so Mrs. Schilling, who was my teacher, saw something in me that she started to nurture. She got me involved in speech and debate. She got me involved in acting. And through her, I met Perry Brents, who got me involved in stand-up comedy. So in 11th grade, I did my first stand-up comedy. And it was all because, in your head, this is what I'm going to do. Mm-hmm. And then God has another plan.
Exactly.
And he used my mother to say, no, this is not what you're going to do. And then Mrs. Schilling was the catalyst to me being an actor and a comedian.
That is wonderful.
Yeah.
And then you end up going to USC.
I ended up at USC. I actually, my first semester, I went to San Diego State and was total fish out of water. I went from student body president, captain of the football team, captain of the wrestling team, to the only black guy in all my classes. Wow. And I was like, okay, I need to go home. So I went home. I went to Cerritos College for 3 semesters, won the national championship in speech, and got a debate scholarship to USC. So at that point, I decided, okay, I'm going to be a lawyer. And I take a voice class for centering and speaking, and the instructor talks me into auditioning for the Bachelor of Fine Arts acting program at SC, and I get in. So it's a 4-year program. They said, okay, you're a junior, but we'll put you in as a sophomore because we have an open space here. Amazing. So me and Tommy Ford and Sabina Weber, there were 3 spaces. We filled those spaces. By the time I left that program, I was acting professionally already.
That's fascinating.
Yeah,
man. That's amazing. USC, that's $65,000 a year.
Yeah, and when the head of the speech team came to me and said, "Hey, I want to talk to you about coming to USC," and he gives me his card, he says, "Give me a call." I said, "Well, I can't afford to go to USC." He said, "Did I ask you for any money?"
Wow, that's God.
That's God.
And that's God talking to your mom saying, send him to Mingers. That's having Mrs. Schilling, ready for you, and Perry, Brent, and all these people.
All these things were in place. When I look back in retrospect, it's like what I wanted to do would have sent me in a different direction.
That's right. You'll be just an attorney now,
right? And
following cars with accident.
And I joke about my mom being like a gangster, and that's not being a gangbanging, not being an option. But I was kind of, before I met Mrs. Schilling, I was kind of hanging out with people who did not have my best interests at heart, and people that would have led me down the wrong path. And then when I met Mrs. Schilling, all of a sudden I didn't have free time because I was preparing for speech tournaments. Once football season was over and once wrestling season was over, now I'm completely committed to speech tournaments. So every day I'm working on speeches. I had no time to do anything else.
Which is great.
Which was great.
Busy.
Kept me busy. Keep your kids busy.
Keep your kids busy. And my wife is the same way. Like, my wife sometimes is tough on the kid. Like, where are you? When did you get? I go, come on, honey, let her. She goes, no, I can't. I'm not going to do it. Mm-hmm. And that's, you think they're tough. And I feel sometimes, hey, give him a break. You know what? In this time and age, no, you don't give them a. So if you're a mom and you feel like, oh, you're too tough on your kids, you know what? Keep at it. The kids get it. So let's get to the story where someone actually died
during my act.
During your act. Let's talk about that. Don't get some listener go, oh no, he didn't kill him. Someone died, and he's alive now. So go ahead.
So here's
Tell me what happened.
It's a charity event in La Jolla, California. I get called by this comic, Josh, to come in and headline this show. There are 4 other comics on the show. The show starts. It's in the backyard of a mansion, and really awesome. Man, I was like, "Wow, this place is great." And then so one side was like where the pool and stuff was. They had food set up. And on the other side is where they had the show set up, and seats are all lined up out there. There's a nice big stage out there. I go up to do my set. I'm doing 45 minutes. 13 minutes in, the host comes up, takes the mic, says, "I'm sorry, Mark. Is there a doctor in the house?"
Oh no.
So what had happened was, 13 minutes into my act, this guy was laughing so hard that he keeled over and died.
Ouch.
Apparently, there were 4 doctors in the house that night. One of them was the head ER doc in San Diego. They go to work on this guy. They resuscitate him. He wakes up giggling.
So he's alive.
These jokes are powerful.
That's awesome.
He's alive.
Because in comedy language, said, "Hey, you're killing."
Yeah, we tell each other all the time. Get out there and kill him.
Yeah, well, I can't. I'm a Leeson. I can't bomb. That's why I work hard on my comedy. I cannot bomb. But it's funny. You're wearing a shirt that says, "I'm the greatest Muhammad Ali."
Yes, I'm the greatest. Even before I said that before I knew I was.
I got a quick story about Muhammad Ali. Before I started comedy, and that's what caused me to do comedy. Is I wasn't a Christian, so I was smoking every a pack or 2 a day, and I decided I want to run the Los Angeles Marathon. I said I will run 2 miles and smoke a cigarette, run 2 miles if I can, and next year I'll run 2 miles, and in 12 years I'll finish the 26.2 miles.
Right.
So anyway, that was my plan. So I said I'm going to sign up. So I signed up. They say, hey, tonight we're having a carbo load in Los Angeles at the Civic Center. Why don't you come and have some carbs before tomorrow? So I go that night, and Muhammad Ali is sitting at my table. And he
Wow.
looks at me and he grabs my arm and he goes, "You're gonna finish it, right?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "You're gonna finish it." I said, "Hey." I go, "Okay." Then he leaves. Next morning, all night, I'm like, I can't sleep. I'm like, "Hey, I promised Muhammad Ali I'm gonna finish the race."
Right.
So anyway, so I get there, I smoke my last cigarette. People are rubbing some Vaseline on their thighs. I did the same thing, whatever they're doing, and I started running. After I did 2 miles, I'm like, I need a cigarette. Well, I can't do that. I left the pack in the car, and I'm just did 4 miles. At 5 miles, my lungs like, okay, we're done. You're on your own. And then people go, keep running, man. You can do it. I get to 10 miles. They go, oh, it's down here from there. I keep running, man. Walking, running. I get to the 22 miles. And this homeless lady, she goes, "Oh, honey, you're gonna finish it. You can finish it. You can see it from here. You can finish it." And I finished the race.
Wow.
In less than 5 hours. I was dying. My toes didn't want to talk to me. They were
Wow.
bleeding. But that's the day I decided. I said, "What do I want to do in life that if I never get paid for it, I'll do it to the best of my ability?" And that was comedy. And that's how it started. Next day, I
Wow.
started doing comedy. That was 30 years ago, and I've been doing comedy. And Muhammad Ali was the guy that squeezed my arm
Wow.
and asked me to
You,
do
you
it.
lost me at Vaseline, but what was the Vaseline for?
I don't know. People rub Vaseline before they run on their thighs. I don't know, to warm him up, to heat him up. I have no clue. I've never used it since. But so
Look, if you ever see me running a marathon, call the police, call for help, because somebody is after me. Because I don't run. I don't run.
I know. But what does Mark Christopher Lawrence know more than anyone in a setting? Let's say there's 100 people in a room.
Mm-hmm.
What does Mark Christopher Lawrence know more about than those 100 people?
Generally, I know that I know the least about most things than anybody else in that room.
Okay.
Most people say they're a jack of all trades, master of all. And not me. I don't know a whole lot of stuff. But the things that I do know, I find a way to be my best at it. And I don't try to compare me to other people. Whatever it is I know or think I know, I go ahead and work at it and try to be good at it.
But do you know, I always ask that question. You probably know about acting more than a lot of people. And the reason you are in a lot of these shows that I mentioned is because you're good. There's a lot of actors that go and audition and all that, and they don't get picked because
a lot of it is luck. A lot of it is like I said to you earlier. We were talking. My plan is not necessarily God's plan, right? Because there's been times where I wasn't working and I decided, you know what, I got to find something else to do. Mm-hmm. And God dramatically closes the door. When I got out of college, that first 5 years, I was pretty busy for a while, and then all of a sudden, I was dried up. There was nothing going on. And I auditioned for Terminator 2 and didn't hear anything. It's like 2 months later, and I haven't had a job in 2 months, and my friends are clerking for judges and working for major law firms. I was like, well, maybe I gotta either go back to law school or find something else to do. And I'm looking through the LA Weekly and I see an ad for learn to deal cards. We have placements in Monaco and Vegas and Reno and Laughlin. Make us a 6-figure income. I was like, hey, I could do that. $499. Come down, audit the first class, and then you pay if you want to stay.
Okay.
I go audit the first class. And before the first break, suits come in and shut the class down. Turns out they're laundering money through the class. I was so glad I hadn't just given my money.
That's funny.
And dramatically, God closes that door. And a couple days later, I get a phone call from a wardrobe person who says, hey, I need your sizes. And I was like, for what? Because I know I hadn't had an audition in a couple months. Mm-hmm. She says, Terminator 2. And it was I was supposed to work a couple of days, ended up working 6 weeks.
That's amazing.
And at that point it was the most money I'd ever made in a film. And then all of a sudden I was busy again.
Do you still get residuals?
Mm-hmm.
Good. What do you tell someone who
I got one for zero.
For zero.
Last year. It was The gross was 3 cents, and the federal government took the whole 3 cents. I don't know how that works. Shouldn't they leave me a little something?
You'll get it back at the end of the year. You'll get a couple cents.
And so the check itself, I have the picture of it on my phone. The check itself, 0.
But then that's how many years after the movie?
Well, that was for a different movie, but yeah. But I mean, here we are in 2019, and I'm still getting residuals from Terminator 2.
That's amazing. That's wonderful. Now, what do you tell someone like my son is graduating from Biola University this December, and he's going to be, he's a director and stuff. And there's people have that fear that if you go into that media business or stuff, you're not going to work. What do you do to someone who's sitting like, oh no, I just graduated and all I'm doing is babysitting or just doing stuff? What do you tell them? Because you waited in that 5 years, you said, since you finished college?
Yeah.
There was that.
Well, you have to live in the meantime.
Right.
So I tell people, I said, look, tell your son or your daughter to find something that they love to do, something that they love that doesn't feel like work, that gives them some flexibility, something that they love to do that pays their bills while they are pursuing this career. Because there's going to be times where there's nothing to do. There's no work. I wish someone would have told me that years ago. Find something that you love to do that's going to pay your bills, and then that way I would have been doing something. But luckily, comedy kind of helps keep me afloat.
Right.
When I'm waiting for that next acting job, and now, I mean, the game has changed so much. People don't have to wait for an acting job or a directing job. You can just go out and do it. Get some like-minded friends and create your own
show. Yeah.
And you can put it on YouTube and you'll get followers and make stuff happen. You can do that now. It's like back then you couldn't, because you couldn't afford film, you couldn't afford the camera, you couldn't. People are shooting films on their iPhone now.
Right, and that's what my son he just did a comedy show with me. I said, hey, do some comedy, because until you get that, you will until you get as a director job, and you know how our millennials are, and they think that the next thing they're gonna do is a huge movie,
right? That's
gonna be number one, and that's life is done, and they're doing great.
But let me say this: there's no set way of doing it. There's plenty of people that say, oh, I'm going to do this, and this. And like I was doing a play at the Los Angeles Theater Center, back in its heyday. And there was a kid in the show. His name was Marcus Redmond. And there were probably 6 or 7 guys in the show. And we were talking to Marcus one night and said, so what college are you going to go to? He was in high school. He says, oh, I'm not going to go to college. I'm going to, when I graduate, I'm going to do like a series and then I'm going to do, I'm going to do a couple movies, then I'm going to do a series, then I'm going to do a couple more movies, and then I'm going to write some stuff, and then, and I think that's the way I'm going to do it. Yeah. And we're like, boy, you better go to college.
Go get some.
And so when he graduated from college, Harold Sylvester, who was in our show, he had a friend who was the producer for Doogie Howser. Mm-hmm. Said they were looking for a kid to play this part, and Harold said, oh, I know a kid who's really good. He'd be great for it. So they come in and read him. It's Marcus Redmond, and he gets the job. So now he's a regular on Doogie Howser. And then next thing I know, I see him in a couple of movies. And then I read in the trades one day, Marcus Redmond and his writing partner just sold a 3-picture deal to Paramount. I was like, clearly there's no set way to do it. Just go out and do it.
So what do you tell a mom that wants her kid to be an actor at this young age, or a grandma that wants
at a young age? I tell them, look, let your kid grow up and be a kid. Let them be a kid. If they want that, if they come to you and say, hey, here's what I want to do, then go and find some training for them and see if they even like it, because a lot of times it's like, they won't even like it. Mm-hmm. But if it's you just pushing your kid into something, don't do that. Mm-hmm. They're going to be miserable. It's like, let them find their way. Let a kid be a kid.
That's right. I know this is our second show, and we have a way for people, if they want to call and talk and ask questions. We have the number, and I'm going to I'll give you the number right now. It is on our phone. And
funny. Somebody said the Vaseline is so their thighs won't chafe.
The what?
Their thighs won't chafe.
Oh, they
the
won't
Vaseline.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's what it is. Okay. Yeah, I don't see any comments from people here. I think I have the wrong page. This is new to me, but we're looking at our Facebook to see if you have any questions or
Man,
if
I
you
don't
can.
look gluten free in this picture, man. I look like a glutton. Is what I look. That's what I look like.
You know, this is funny. I sold
This
my.
is not a very flattering shot right here. I think I need.
Yeah,
I need another shot.
Oh, here's 4 comments and
I wore the wrong shirt.
the phone number. I think there's. Oh, good words. Okay, let's see. How do? Okay, if people want to call, the number is. We're gonna talk to our. We have to give the credit to our producer and director Sean Kelly. What is the phone number people can call?
It is 712.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I was not even ready for that. Where'd it go?
Okay, we have it here. Someone wrote it down. This is funny, but it's okay. We're live and we're okay with that.
Okay, it's 712
Uh-huh.
775 8984. And then you enter the code 205492.
Okay, so 712-775-8984 and you put the code 205492
Yes.
if you have any questions or you want to talk to Mark Christopher Lawrence or myself. And let me ask you this, Mark. You do Chuck, you do NBC. Everybody knows who you are. Till this day, when you come to do this Laughter for All, people recognize you.
Mm-hmm.
They
They recognize my face. They don't really know my name, and that's what we're trying to do is bridge that gap between the face and the name.
the face and the name, and
It directly affects what you get paid.
do you? It does.
Yeah.
That's true. And you know what? Let's talk flesh. We're believers. We love the Lord, and sometimes the flesh kicks in, and you go, "Wait a minute. How come nobody's recognizing me? How come I've been doing this for so long? I've been on all these shows." Have you ever had that feeling? It's like, really, nobody knows?
No, well, for me, it's like people recognize me every day. But they don't know from what. It's like they'll go, "Hey, did you go to uni?" No. What? Maybe it's TV or something like that. Nah, that's not it. Or my favorite question that I hate is, "What have I seen you in?"
Yes.
Well, I don't know what you've seen. How would I? I said, "Well, I've done this. No, wasn't that? Nope." I'll list like 20 or 30 things. Nope. What else?
It's funny because the other day I was just one of those low moments, and I'm like, "Hey Alexa, can you play Comedian Nazareth on Spotify?" She goes, "I don't recognize Comedian Nazareth." I said, "Can you play Comedian Nazareth? I've done shows for 40,000 people in one night. I've been on all these TV shows, the comedy shows. I've been, all over the world. Can you play Comedian Nazareth on..." Sorry. She goes, "I don't recognize Comedian Nazareth. Do you want to talk about Lazarus? Oh, Jesus rose from the dead." I said, "Not Lazarus, Comedian Nazareth." And she goes, "No." I said, "Listen, I've done comedy. I even have my students who are doing full-time comedy, like Taylor Tomlinson." She said, "Playing Taylor Tomlinson." I said, "No, I don't want to hear from theirs. I want to play Comedian Nazareth." And then finally, she's like, "Okay, I'll play Comedian Nazareth." But I was fighting with Alexa because she didn't know. But you get those moments, those low moments, and then you go, "You know what?" And then you yesterday. I mean, I had people raise their arm to receive Jesus after the show. I said, "You know what? It's all about you. It's not about me." And I walk out of the green room, and there's a big poster said, "It's not about you."
Wow.
That's sometimes when God talks to us.
Yeah, he's talking directly to you.
Yeah, it's not about you.
That's like, I hate it when I'm sitting in church and the pastor's like talking directly to me. And I start looking around like, "Why are you telling my business, Pastor?" Well,
that's the Holy Spirit.
when nobody else feel that, why me? It's like directly to you.
Uh-huh.
It's like he's talking to you. It's like, okay, note taken.
Now, being a Christian in Hollywood, okay, how difficult is that for you?
It's not. when I go to work, I mean, just like when I go to work with you, I'm just a pro. I go to work and I do my job and I get out.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Have you ever been offered scripts or stuff where you go, that does not agree with my faith?
no, I turned down 2 jobs in my career, and it was right after I did this movie that I told you to scratch off of the thing, the Fear of Black Hat movie, because I played a rapper, and so I get this offer from this German company, cigarette commercial, and I had gone through this period of when I was a kid, my mom smoked, and I hated that my mom smoked. And she would say, you know, once I started driving, she would say, "Hey, can you go get me a pack of cigarettes?" And it really bugged me. And then when I got to college, I refused to go. I was like, "I'm not going to help you kill yourself." And then, so when I get offered this cigarette commercial, and they wanted me to play a rapper, you know, at first I was going to take it, and I thought about, you know, well, if I'm playing a rapper, at that point, you know, pretty much just kids are listening to rap music. I was like, so they're selling cigarettes to kids. And so I said, I told my agents, I said, no, I can't. I said, I can't do it. And they're like, well, it's just a flat offer, and it's, you know, it's a bunch of money. It was like $50K. And I was like, I said, I can't sell cigarettes to kids. I can't do it.
So you turned $50K
Yeah.
for cigarettes.
Yeah. And then there was a job that was, it was a movie, and it wasn't really a lot of money, but it was a little blasphemous, and I went, I can't do that. I said, no. So my agents, I said, yeah, tell them we're busy or something, that we're not available. I said, but I can't. I said, and this is why. I said, I can't, because it's blasphemous. And I said, I can't do that. You know, I had a conversation with Della Reese. I was working on Touched by an Angel, and I had just rewatched this movie that Della Reese was in, Harlem Nights.
Harlem Nights, okay.
And she's really funny in it, but cursed a lot.
Oh.
Just a lot of. And she was a pastor of a church at the time, and so we were talking about it. I said, Della, I said, so did you catch a lot of flack, you know, from the Christian community because of this role? And she says, you know, people will have their opinions about whatever. She says, you know, you signed up to be an actor. She says, when jobs come to you, she says, it's up to you to pick and choose what you want to do. She says, but God won't open doors that he doesn't want you to go through. You know, he won't say, hey, go ahead and do this job if he doesn't want you to do the job. You know, that door won't open. She says, so if you get an opportunity to play a character that's not you, that's not necessarily what your faith is, you know, maybe there's something bigger at foot that you don't understand. She says, so I just did that show. She says, and then ended up having conversations with people who I probably wouldn't have had a conversation with had I not done that show. I was like, oh, interesting.
Interesting. Now, why
Interesting way to look at it.
Why are you Christian? Or how? I mean, the first question is, how did you become a?
Well, I grew up in a Christian household. My mom was a Christian, and you know, not going to church was not an option. You know, every Sunday morning she'd get up at like 6 in the morning and turn on Shirley Caesar as loud as she could get it, and everybody was getting up going to church. And when I got to college, you know, I went through my little rebellious period where I decided, well, you know what, I'm grown. I don't got to go to church if I don't want to go to church. I ain't going to church, and I didn't go to church for many years.
What church did you go to when you were growing up? Because
Church of God in Christ.
Okay, was that a white church or a black church?
It was a black church.
But you lived in Compton, which was a white neighborhood.
Well,
You had to go.
it transitioned after
It
that.
transitioned after that.
But
Okay.
we would drive to a church of God in Christ Church across town. But eventually we ended up at a church in Compton. You know, once the neighborhood had changed, Mark Say, who played pro football, lives out here in the valley.
Yes,
somewhere.
yes.
So Mark, his father was a pastor of a church that we went to for a while, and then we started going to Horizon Christian Fellowship.
Oh, yes.
No, not Horizon
Not
Christian
Horizon.
Fellowship. I'm sorry.
Mike
We went to
McIntosh.
Foursquare Church,
Foursquare.
Carlin Avenue, Foursquare.
Okay.
And so that Pastor Paul Hackett was my pastor. He was his pastor was what's his name? Calvary Chapel.
Chuck Smith.
Chuck Smith.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I went for years, Chuck Smith.
Yeah.
Actually, I got to do 3 shows with at conferences with Pastor Chuck. He was so graceful. He just laughed at everything.
He's funny. He was funny, and that's why I like Pastor Hackett was really funny. And then when I moved to San Diego, the church that I finally settled in, Horizon, because Mike McIntosh was really funny.
I love Mike. He's
Yeah.
still a friend of mine, and we still text each other. He is so nice. But a question: would you, if a mom, if a son or a daughter asking their mom or dad, "Oh, I want to become an actor. I want to go to Hollywood," what are your recommendation now? What do you tell that parent?
Well, I mean, I think we touched on it a little bit earlier.
Yes, a little.
But if you raise your child to a point where they're grown, and then you got to let them live their life. If that's what they want to do, okay, go for it. Be the best at it that you can be.
Mm-hmm.
Get as much training as you can get, because there are people who are well trained. Everybody is not going to be a star. Clearly, I'm a character actor. There are millions of actors now. When I started, they used to say there's like a little over 1 million actors, and 1% are making a killing, 3% are making a living, and the rest are waiters and waitresses. And I feel like that I'm part of the 3%. I'm making a living, and we all would like to be a star, but the fact of the matter is everybody's not going to be a star. So I would tell parents to let your child follow their dream, encourage them, support them, and when they come home crying about it, tell them, look, if this is what you love, then keep going. Don't give up on your dream, because you don't want to get later in life and have regrets. I've been a SAG actor for 33 years now.
That's amazing. That's amazing. To be able to stay every year, because you have to keep up the quota to get your insurance and
Yeah.
your memberships.
Yeah, and I've only been without insurance in that 33 years, 1 quarter.
I have listeners who love the Lord, and a lot of listeners that's going through some hard times.
Mm-hmm.
How can you encourage them?
It's like after Chuck, it's like I my life, took on a lot of stuff that life changes. Life changes. Life comes at you hard, and in it, you have to try to find the strength to keep moving on, to move forward, to not just give up on life and on yourself. And so my encouraging thing would be to say, stay in your word, pray. Mm-hmm. When people ask me, what can we do for you? I tell them to pray for me. And I get as many people as possible to pray for me throughout things, especially when I'm going through stuff. Pray for me, keep praying for me. Pray that I hear God clearly.
Mm.
And so my encouragement for them would be, you're not alone. See, God is steady. God is steady. He is the same today, yesterday, and forever. We change. We walk away from God. And so it's on us to stay over there, stay close to Him. It's like when Jesus was walking on the water, and the old boy comes out the boat with him, looks away, and next thing you know, he was going down. It's like, keep looking at Jesus. What are you doing? And I think we get away from that, and so my encouraging thing would be to say, God has you. He has you. There's been moments where I felt like, how am I going to get through this next few days? How am I going to get my bills paid? How am I going to, and all of a sudden there it is.
Amen.
He provides. God is a provider. He's a healer. He's a savior. He's everything that we need. And I think we lose track of that, and we get so caught up in, this is the situation that I'm in, that we forget to go, okay, God, I'm giving it to you. And we, especially us as men, we try to, we try to fix it ourselves. I got to fix this. And sometimes you can't fix it. You got to just let God do what He does.
I love it when he said, "Are you done? Okay, are you done trying? Because I need to start working."
right. Like your $4,000 thing.
Yeah.
You know,
I
got you.
couldn't do anything. He said, "I got you." He's always faithful. And this is last weekend. You know what? I sold so many products and books and stuff, and just from a church that normally, like, you go, no, that's you always have an idea how much you're gonna do, and I was like, no, and it was God just saying, okay, I'm gonna bless you beyond what you expected.
Yeah.
And I keep doing it, and he goes, "You idiot. I keep coming through every single time. Why do you worry? Why are you anxious? Why are you always worried? I got you."
I'll tell you a very similar story. One year you called me and asked me if I'd do a show with you at a prison.
Yes.
And I had a thing that I had to fill out online and send back, right? Remember that?
Right.
And they, in the thing, it says, okay, you're not getting paid for this, blah, blah, blah. I was like, yeah, okay, all right, whatever. Signed it, send it back. And I was just being faithful to go and do this gig. And then after it was over, you handed me a check for $500.
Yes.
And I needed $500 to pay my rent.
Amen. I just felt that the Lord is like, okay, we need,
And
even though it's funny.
You know what I mean?
But remember that prison. I'm glad you brought it up. Go ahead.
That day, there was a guy came up to me and said,
I will tell you what he said.
"This
but
is
you
the
tell
first
me.
time I have ever been inspired." He had been there for 25 years. He went in at 13. Was arrested at 13, tried at 14 as an adult. He was in a car with some guys who committed a crime. They gave him the gun because he was a minor, and they said, you just go to juvenile. And they tried him as an adult, and he's been in prison. And he's in prison for life.
He's going to be for life.
Yeah.
And he said, I remember when he came and talked to you, and he said, this is the first time I was inspired.
Yeah.
And at the time, we were doing Mio and Gilbert, and we were making them laugh. And I had to share something to inspire them. What do you inspire people who are doing life in prison, will never see the light of day? What do you inspire them? And I was driving to San Diego, and I said, Lord, what can I tell them? And you know what the Lord said in an African-American voice? He said, tell them they're doing time, but I'm outside of the domain of time. I'm outside of time. Tell them they're doing time, but I'm outside of time. And when I went in, I said, they won't understand this. And so I said to them, I said, hey, listen, guys, you're doing time, but God said he's outside of time. And they started applauding him like, you got it? They said, yeah, we get it. That, you know what? One day we're going to be outside of the domain of time. And God is, and if someone in doing life in prison is encouraged, why not you who's listening right to us today? And like, be encouraged. God is faithful. He's always there. He takes care of you. And if you have a steady job and you get a paycheck, that's a blessing, because we don't.
Right.
We don't get a paycheck. And I want to say this, and I'm going to put you on the spot. Now, before we were talking about a project where you need to raise $12,000, and I truly believe God will provide that, maybe through the show or wherever, that because at my shows you sing, and people don't know you, they know you're an actor, you do hymns.
Yeah.
And I want to, can I put you on the spot?
Sure.
Go for it.
What a fellowship, what a joy divine, leaning on the everlasting arms. I'm leaning, yes, I'm leaning, leaning on the everlasting arms.
Amazing. And so you're praying about doing an LP or
Yeah, like you see, every time I do a church, someone asks me for my music because I sing in the show, and I don't have any music, so I figured I would do some hymns and put together a little album.
Okay.
And
it cost $12,000 to do it.
and yeah, to get it all done because I want to use like a choir in one of the songs. I want to hire really good musicians and make it good. I mean, if people are going to pay for it, I want it to be good.
How can people get a hold of you?
MarkChristopherLawrence.com.
MarkChristopherLawrence.com. That's your website. They can go to the website. They can see your comedy. They can see your acting, and they can through there get a hold of you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you need to get a hold of him and you can't, just come to me, NazarethUSA.com, or laughterforall.org. Send us an email. I will connect you to Mark Christopher Lawrence if it's on your heart to be able to help him with this project. If you're a musician or you can help him with that. That's good. Mark is also a comedian, of course. He's available. We're all available. And since we're talking about encouragement stuff, I'd like to push my book, which is, second show. So this is called Hope in 24 Hours. Your situation can change for the better. And how God can come through in 24 hours or less. This book is available on my website, Nazareth USA, and you can order it. And if you say I ordered it through the podcast, or I heard it on the podcast, free shipping, baby. Shipping now is like $200, so it's free shipping for that. So I just want to encourage you.
I tried to ship myself to Hawaii one time. And,
this is wonderful how, we were encouraged today with Mark talking about how, how God, through his mom had him change the trajectory of his career or his schooling to go to a different school where he got to meet Mrs. Schilling and Mr. Perry, who really helped him to become who he is today, a very successful actor, a wonderful comedian, and you're a great dad too. Your daughter is how old?
She's 8.
Great. So this is our show for today. I hope you were encouraged. I hope you laughed. Join us next Monday for another podcast that will make you laugh, encourage you, and inspire you. Also tell your friends about us. Share this podcast with your friends. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook under Comedian Nazareth, Nazareth, or in Twitter at Nazman, Nazzman, and LinkedIn at Nazareth R. You can also enjoy some of my videos on YouTube under Comedian Nazareth TV. And until next time, may the Lord bless you, guide you, and shine his face upon you and give you wisdom. Keep on laughing. Please laugh. It's good for you. There's muscles in your face that the only way they move is if you laugh. So if you don't laugh, you're going to sag and look old. Love you guys. God bless you, and share this.